Welcome, everyone, to the Los Angeles Tribune's International Day of Peace celebration with Roots and Shoots, Jane Goodall, and also another special guest that will be introduced to you shortly. But first and foremost, I'm so excited. We've got our team right now in LA with Jane Goodall's event, and it's going to be so much fun because we're going to be covering them live shortly. But first, Misty, how excited are you, and what are you looking forward in this broadcast?
I am very excited. I love the Roots and Shoots. You have the power to build a better world, and their focus on children and young adults to be able to empower them. So I'm excited to see the parade that we get to see streaming live, and then maybe some excited kids, or just how many individuals came out today who really want to make a change.
That's so exciting! Oh my gosh, and I'm looking forward to the parade too. And I get to know more what Roots and Shoots is about. I just know there's a lot of kids. All right, what are you looking forward to, Karen? And also, as you talk about what you're looking forward to, go ahead and introduce our next guest coming right
Yeah,
up.
thank you. It's great to be with you, Ava and Misty, and our guests that will be joining us. And we're so excited about celebrating the Day of Peace with Jane Goodall. She has made such a difference on all of the efforts that she has made with the Jane Goodall Institute and the Roots and Shoots, and helping to improve lives on this earth, which is pretty amazing. I mean, it starts with one person, and one person can make a difference. And our guest that we will be bringing up today is Edward David Jones. And so, David, we're going to bring you up onto the stage, and we'd like to welcome you with the Los Angeles Tribune today. So, thank you for being with us.
Hello, and it's so exciting to be here. I'm very excited. This is awesome.
And
And
oh,
I
go
just want
ahead.
to jump in about talk about making a difference. David, you're an entrepreneur, you're an inventor, you're an engineer, you rescue animals, you're helping us with our most precious resource, water. I'll kick it back over to Karen, but I am honored to finally get to sit with you and meet you and just really hear a little bit about your story and how you've been impacting this world for years.
It's my pleasure to meet you, Misty.
Yes. So David is the inventor of the water whale, and you can see on the screen thewaterwhale.com if you'd like to learn more about that. And as an engineer, he is very creative in the ways that he looked at waste. He saw how we were just throwing away so much water, and it was just being wasted. And just, hey, what about if we use that water to use for feeding livestock, or what if we used it for gardens? What if we used all the trash that is thrown away in restaurants? And so he came up with the water whale to reclaim water. And then he also invented OMT, which is a nonprofit organization called One Man's Trash, where in the restaurants it sorts the liquid from the trash. And why not use some of that trash for composting, and helping the earth? And so the waste went down tremendously, and the restaurants that joined this were making a big difference on our earth. And so, David, how did you get this idea? Because so many times I've been in the restaurant industry for years, and food service, and I saw all this waste, and I was like, oh, I just hate to see that going to waste, but what can we do? And so tell us how you came up with the idea for the water whale.
Well, actually, the water whale is a 30-year venture. I'm so excited. I've been working on this thing over 30 years. Once you look at the video of thewaterwhale.com, you will notice that the first 3 minutes of it is a video of the first product that I made, which was a water monitoring system. It recycled water. And that's when I first started thinking about ice and restaurants and all of the misuse, that we've been doing for years. We not only here on this third rock from the sun, the only known planet in the universe with intelligent life form and H2O on the planet with water and life living in that water, we actually defecate in fresh water. It's an act that is so unnecessary. And on the other hand, we also throw away fresh water. Another act that can be changed, a human activity that we can effect by making a change. So those were my guiding forces in starting to create this product, which I call the water whale, which is a patented water reclamation canister. After I started working in this, once I found out that liquid waste is much more potent and detrimental to the Earth's environment than solid waste, I've been thinking about this for over 35 years. How can we separate these two items? Now, water, universal solvent, we use it for everything. All of our drinks, alcohol, everything we do preparing food, we use water. Can't get around it. The
Right.
lifeblood of Mother Earth. But once we finish with the water, we do so many detrimental things to it that I said, there's just got to be a better way. So I thought of trying to separate sludge or liquid from the other things that we throw into the black liner bag by creating this product, which is called a reclamation canister or the water wheel.
So how does it work?
It works by having two chambers. Now, one chamber sits right here. One chamber is for liquids that are destined to recycle, destined to go into the sewer system. The other section of the water wheel is for reclaimable, potable water. Every time you go to the restaurant, you sit down, waitress is going to bring you this glass of water with ice in it. Most of the time when you walk away from that table, you look back, that glass is still full. It's her job to keep it full. She's going to keep that glass full of water. So what I'm getting at is every time we human beings eat a meal, that soda is 16 ounces of liquid. Half of it is ice, usually. Ice is potable water. Ice, we were just getting ready to drink it a second ago. Half of it is melted down. Now we're throwing it away. We're taking Earth's blood, lifeblood, which is fresh water, and we're placing it in a container, a plastic bag.
Yeah.
Turning it into a petri dish because of all the pathogens and carcinogens and all the other things that we throw in that black liner bag, animal waste, vegetable waste, bacteria creating elements. And then we add water to it. What is that going to do? It increases the toxicity, and it turns trash post packaging into garbage. So
Right.
every time, everything we do comes in a package. So these packages are Earth's resources. Tin, we mine tin, we turn it into cans. Trees, we turn it into paper products. We wrap all of our stuff. The most detrimental product that we ever created was that plastic bag, because it's water. It won't let water out. So when you put water in there, it turns into Pandora's bag. You don't know what's coming out. The book, The After Meal, I wrote that book trying to discern all the things about the meal. The most beneficial thing that we humans do every day is eat a meal. And as it turns out, that after meal, all the leftover forks, the cups, the food items, the paper, all the post packaging are most valuable items. And on top of that, there's water. Do you realize that water comprises 60 to 70% of the total collectible waste of a bag of garbage? Every time you go to McDonald's, you look at them haul those bags of waste out. In-N-Out Burger, all of the restaurants have this problem. We have no place to discern liquids other than in a bag with other matter, and that is wrong. That is one of the missions I'm undertaking, to change the human habit of throwing away water.
How many restaurants would you say are using the water whale now to reclaim
That is what the whale is for. The whale is actually a whale with its mouth open. We're using the top life form in the ocean to demonstrate the need for water. Every time you throw away a cup of water, you're throwing away Wally Whale's home. You're throwing away the home. I mean, animals need water rights too. We're not the only ones who need water rights. Animals need water rights. So we need to understand that that's their home that we're urinating in, for a softer word.
Yeah.
So, when you think about Mother Nature, Mother Earth, and you think about your mother and all of the life forms, the one most beneficial thing that we can save the world is by dealing with water more effectively. If we human beings simply stop urinating in fresh water, and that's what the whale does, it takes throwawayable water, potable water, it separates the ice from this water. There's a mechanism in the machine that melts ice. You never heard of an ice melting machine before in your life. Here, I go around and I make an ice melting machine. Turns out it is the most beneficial thing that we need in our environment. In our environment, when we throw stuff away, we have a sewer system. It should contain all of the liquids. But when we put liquids in a plastic bag, the city dump comes and picks it up. I've interviewed city dumps and landfills. So I went there and I videotaped them, and I see the mass that comes out of the back of those garbage trucks. All of these plastic bags, which are containing 70% liquid, they get squashed together. All of this matter gets cross-contaminated now.
Yeah.
It is unrecyclable. You can't do anything but burn it. Consequently, we human beings are destroying earth, wind, and fire in one fatal meal.
Wow.
What my product does is it entices people to empty their cup into a liquid waste can, if you would. In order to do that, you have to take the lid off there. You put the lid in one little section. You take the straw, put it in another little section. You take the cup and empty it into the first chamber. Automatically, the ice gets kicked into the front chamber, where it gets held into it goes into the secondary filtering system, which allows it to be melted. We use the force, and
it's a brilliant system, and it all came from your observation and from your desire to protect the earth and to see this waste, this contamination, and to think there's got to be a better way. We've got to be able to do something. And Misty, I bet you have had that same thought when you were at restaurants.
David, actually, it's mind-blowing when you're talking right now, and I keep thinking of airports. We literally
you're still in my story.
Before we walk into the airplane, right? Like there needs to be water wheel at every entrance, at right by TSA.
I thought that too.
It's an awesome product, and it is compactable. It is. It looks good to me. My whale is sitting there with his mouth, enticing you to drop your cup into it, empty all of your contents into it. You can throw away strawberry shakes, ice cream, into any kind of frozen milk. The machine will clean itself out. You can time it. The machine has a computer in it. When water gets so much, when you get 5 gallons of water in there, it'll cut itself on, and it'll start doing what it's doing whenever the upper level sensors indicate that there's at least 10 gallons of water in there that we are reclaiming. It'll come on, it'll chlorinate the water, it'll pump it through a filter. It'll take the first 30 seconds or however long you time the machine. You program this machine per site. So you want it to clean itself up for 5 minutes. The timer says, okay, run water through to clear out this old gunk here, 30 seconds. Then the ice melting mechanism can come on. It is timed so that you can spray water, the water that you just collected, not fresh water. This is potable water that you just saved from your table. Now you put this, you squirt water on ice, it melts it. Then we filter it, we chlorinate that water. We can even configure these machines to test for PCP and lead in the water that you just drank. Wouldn't you want to know if your restaurant was serving leaded water? Just think of Flint, Michigan. All the stuff that's in their water that they don't know about. We can't wait to talk to In-N-Out Burger.
God. David, you're blowing my mind because clearly we know.
Oh, I know what's going on. I'm sorry, but it's hard to stay on one track. But ask me a question. Let me focus on one of your questions.
Well, no, because I'm thinking like in my house right now, and you get tax breaks, right? Like my washing machine uses less water. The water heater, they could be gone. They don't have to store the water in. But you created something that's gonna not where we're in scarcity, but where we're able to recycle and continue to use and not just waste.
And it is targeted to used water. Ice is already used. It is a waste product. No, it is not. Water is recyclable. It is a universal solvent. Ice is fresh water. It's great
Yeah.
water. All we
You know,
got to do is take it and use it, put it in the lawn or toilet application.
it's interesting how your engineer brain worked because somebody like me just looks at it and says, yeah, that's a problem, but I don't know what to do. But with your brilliant mind, you were able to come up with this solution. And you're such a special person because one person really can make a difference. And you're showing how that is possible.
And that's how we're going to get everybody else involved. One person at a time. The whale.
So in the future, do we see water whales in everyone's home?
I'm hopeful that the restaurants will employ the whale. What we want to do is teach the public that every time you're dealing with a cup of water, just think of how much water each human being needs per day. At one point in time, I started writing down how much water requirements are required by all the creatures of the earth. The bird can get away with a teaspoon of water a day. The elephant needs 90 gallons a day. Human beings are supposed to only drink 8 quarts of glasses a day, but we wind up using in our activity, human activity, we can use 3 gallons per flush, up to a gallon, up to 3 pounds. Most people will drink 2 16 ounces. So that's 2 pounds right there. Every time we sit down and eat a meal, we throw away a half a pound of water, fresh water in the form of ice. And when it goes into the black liner bag, it's definitely detrimental. We only need to teach these facts to kids. We've been taught to throw everything into the plastic black liner bag. We've got that ingrained in our head. We are trained. What we're going to do is untrain people of the old habits. Do you realize that waste collection, dissipation has not changed in over 100 years? Every other function that we humans do has changed. Computers change every 3 months. Every product that you buy changes. Waste collection has not. We still collect everything in a plastic bag and squash it all together, cross-contaminating everything else. Nothing is recyclable. There's a new law in the state of California, SB 1383. It requires and mandates businesses and restaurants to deal with their after meal, to separate these items. To stop, they have to reduce contributions to city dumps and landfills by 75% by the year 2025. How are you going to do it? Simply by getting rid of the liquid. You've gotten rid of 70% of total collectible waste. People don't consider liquid to be a waste. It is. Think about this last thought. When you go to the restaurant, when you go to 7-Eleven, or when you stop to get gas, stop. Look around your area there. Look at all the stains that are on the cement. That is from people driving in their car with their 6 to 8 cup holders with the last bit of whatever they were drinking. They throw it out the window. We need a liquid waste can. Once somebody squirts water on it, all of these things will concentrate all these chemicals that the water dries and dissipates. Whatever you were drinking, alcohol, beer, just think of all of that stuff still on the ground. It once it gets wet again, it turns back into an active ingredient that we do not know what it is called. That's why I can't wait to meet Jane Goodall, because she is so environmentally friendly that when I start talking about getting, saline, if you put saline on a snail, it'll melt it. Our byproducts are non-friendly to organic matter. Here, the next ending life metric is when we lose our organic life form. We're doing it as fast as we can. We have to deal with our liquid waste in an effective way, put it into the sewer system where it is cleaned out of the water that we return back to Mother Nature, to Mother Earth.
David, hold on. You cued us perfectly waiting for Jane Goodall, because just right now, let me just bring you to the Roots and Shoots event where Alicia Magnus Lewis is here to join us. So Alicia, how are you?
Hello, Ava. Hello,
Again, great
David.
to meet Jane. Hi, Alicia.
Hello, everyone. We are streaming live from the Roots and Shoots organization celebration of the Day of Peace here
Oh,
in San Pedro, California. And we're delighted, as you're about to see in just a moment here, they're going to kick off the Dove Parade. There are almost 60 doves that were created by individuals in the community that are about to march by us today to celebrate peace. And I mean, it has just been a phenomenal event. Jane Goodall is going to give a keynote speech in just a little bit. Bono is here. And most importantly, there's children here from all across the community, people that have traveled in to participate in today's International Day of Peace celebration. So, as you can see right behind me here, we have the doves that are coming by, and it is
okay.
just that symbol of peace. And each dove is carried by 4 volunteers. The Doubletree donated sheets to be able to have these doves created. And as you can see, people are tuned in and taking pictures. And Jane Goodall is walking in front, leading the parade today. And so you can see the parade, and we're going to show you in a moment just everyone that has come here to participate in this International Day of Peace. And so, David, love what you're doing with water conservation and water recycling. And as you can see, people are coming here sharing their stories of what it's been like to be a part of the work that Jane Goodall has inspired all around the world, what Roots and Shoots is doing. We were speaking with some youth that are part of Roots and Shoots earlier today, and they were talking about how it's important to recycle, how each and every one of us can contribute to peace and can contribute to the environment. So we're going to take you on a little tour so that you all can be a part of the parade today. And I'm going to show you the park because the park is packed today. There's a band playing. We're going to hear from Jane in a moment. But it's just fantastic to see everyone that has joined in today. We're also celebrating Jane Goodall's 90th birthday. And she is here. Imagine all of the work that she has done. I mean, I was speaking with a woman earlier, and she was talking about how in 1995, she met Jane Goodall. And Jane Goodall invited her to start doing work in the community. And she started a Roots and Shoots in Ventura, California to be a part of this important work. So Ava, would love for you to come on the stage. David, I know you were speaking. I would love for you to come on and talk about what this experience is like being part of this parade with us today.
David, let's start with you.
Oh
What's
man, this
like
is excellent.
being here?
Oh, I'm telling you, Jane is one of my idols. I mean, she's right up there with Mo.
Ooh.
I mean, I knew Jane long before she's so godlike in everybody's estimation that I can't wait to meet that young lady. That will be a pinnacle of my life. And the parade, I was watching you guys prepare earlier today. I saw the doves on the ground. I've been watching all day long. You know, you can't help but watch you guys. This is so excellent, the things that you're doing. I can't wait to be a part of this. This is excellent. I am telling you. This is,
I'm joined here right now. I love that, David. I'm joined here with Michael Silvers here, who's part of the Los Angeles Tribune team. Michael, I mean, we're out here with Roots and Shoots. You were just standing with Bono, or we are here celebrating Jane Goodall's birthday and all of the work Roots and Shoots is doing. What are your thoughts being a part of this experience today? I know it's so important to the Los Angeles Tribune.
You know, it's amazing. I'll grab the mic. It's amazing how many people the lives she's affected. If you look at everybody that's here and the support and the children, and it was wonderful because, you know, I was just over talking to Bono, and Jane has done so much to his life and has changed so many things, and his activism and his changing the planet and wanting to make a difference. A lot of it is because of Jane Goodall. And he is here just standing in line, hanging out with the kids, hanging out with everybody, because Jane's mission is so big. He doesn't want anything special about it. He's actually one of the most humble people I've literally ever met. Jane here with us. It's what an amazing day. There's amazing people here, and I'm looking forward to her thinking and just being involved with Roots and Shoots and anything we can do to help the international organization.
So phenomenal. And as you can see, There are children as young as 5 here volunteering to walk around with the doves to celebrate the Day of Peace. You want to say hi? Yeah, it is. A lot. So we're going to keep walking around. You want to come walk with me? Come on, what's your name? Cam. Hi, Cam. Cam says hi, everyone. And we're just going to show you what the experience is like. Look at her over here. There is individuals from Holly Glen Elementary here walking around with the doves. Hello. Okay, see you, Cam. Cam says bye, everyone.
Hi, Cam.
Misty, what are your thoughts being part of the dove parade from afar and just being a part of the celebration?
Okay, I'm blown away because I was waiting for little doves. I didn't know it would be such a participant, and what a great donation to be able to utilize the sheets in something. What's the word? So significant, really significant. And I did not know there'd be that many people there. That is incredible.
I didn't know they flew either. I didn't know they were going to fly them.
Yeah, I mean, people have come in from there's people have come in from all around the world to be here. A lot of people are here to hear Jane Goodall's remarks, which she's about to open with just after this parade. There are vendors. The Los Angeles Public Library is here. They have a big initiative kicking off October 1st to 31st, which you're going to hear a little bit more about in a moment. But it's just a celebration. And I think what is one of the most exciting aspects of being here is actually speaking to the kids. They're so excited to be here. They're so well informed and they want to make a difference. And it starts, like, habits start from a young age. That awareness starts from a young age because they want to educate. They want to tell their friends. I was speaking to a little girl named Hannah. She's not that little. She's a high schooler. She's a senior named Hannah, but she's here with her Peace Club from her high school. And they all came together to celebrate the Day of Peace together. And they're all trying to figure out how they can contribute and make this world a better place. So it's fun to be here, but it's an important moment in history. Jane Goodall is such an important figure in history and has inspired so many people, and it's the ripple effect. Someone said it earlier, it's the action of one person, the ripple effect that it has on an entire country and an entire world and on our future. It's so important. And so we're going to just continue to stand here and see the doves and participate in this Day of Peace that's happening all around the world. And I'm going to keep walking with you. And, Abba would love to hear your thoughts as you continue to celebrate this Day of Peace.
Well, what an honor. I consider it an honor for the Los Angeles Tribune to be representing, the media world in this Day of Peace, because really, like, where are all the other media organizations, right? But, this one thing that we stand for at the Los Angeles Tribune is we're about making an impact. It's news that inspires, empowers, and educates. And so I love that you're there, that we're creating an awareness. I love, the perfect combination of David Jones's thewaterwhale.com pursuit to, I'm blown away by everything that you're doing, David Jones. Like quiet, speechless, but perfect alignment. So thank you, Alicia, for being there and for, giving us an opportunity to be able to experience it from virtually anywhere around the globe.
Yes, I mean, it's so great to be here. As you can see, there are thousands of people that have gathered today in the park to celebrate the Day of Peace. And they're all getting ready because they're going to hear Jane Goodall speak in just a few minutes.
Wow.
But, do you see this, everyone?
That is awesome.
Like, this is phenomenal.
When I was watching earlier, that there weren't that many people. They had the doves on the ground. I didn't know they were going to fly them. Yeah. Oh, this is awesome. It's a lot of people.
Alicia, before we started, we were talking about how, and a couple of us, we were excited to see the kids show up and really take part and have that sort of the day of significance to be like remembering this day. They got to see Jane. They walked in the parade. But it really is them who's going to push the movement, because once we're stuck in our habits from a psychological point of view, we can change them, but it's a little hard. But it's a lot harder to ignore it when your child's standing next to you telling you where to dump your glass of water, right? They're like, no, don't put it there. You put it in the water wheel. That's what we do now.
Exactly.
So
We got to have a system.
those reminders and them. So I love that so many schools turned out and so many kids are there. That really warms my heart.
Yeah, I
too.
mean there
It was
there
awesome.
are so many kids. I was standing here earlier with Callie and Mavis, and Michael is tuning in with us again. And they were so excited about the work that they're doing, and they were so excited to share what they've been learning, like what it actually means to recycle, why it's important to not leave plastic on the ground, to David's point earlier. Like, they're really learning and they're really inspired. And what was so beautiful is that earlier we were standing with a Roots and Shoots organization that was started in the school, and we asked, how did this get started? And she said, it was the kids that came to me. They wanted us to bring Roots and Shoots to our school. Like, the kids are really taking that inspired action to say, this is important, and they want to get their own schools involved in the work that Roots and Shoots is doing, but really the community outreach programs and the education, right? They're working to spread that education. So it's just so beautiful to see, because as you said, Misty, it starts with the kids. You're not unlearning habits, but you get to be an advocate for change and an advocate for peace by being a part of contributing to a better society. And it's just really awesome to see.
You know, we used to go around to the K-12 schools, and I grow worms. I compost matter from restaurants, and I grow worms. And I have bins of worms, and I take them to the K-12 schools and demonstrate to kids the life forms, the organic life forms that live in soil. I mean, worms not only are surrounded by amoebas, protozoans, and all other kinds of creepy crawly things, that are in the soil. But the kids actually love this stuff. I took a worm bin full of worms and to Cunningham School up here, and the little girls were pushing the guys out of the way. They were coming out with roly-polies, and they were finding things in the soil. These kids it was so educational for them to realize that the worms, because we did agricultural displays, and we talk about the worm being God's gift to the earth, and the feces that comes out at the end of the worm, how beneficial with the micro and macro elements, all of the trace elements of minerals that the worm distributes into the soil, is the reason for things being green. The life force of a plant is the macro and micro elements that it derives from the soil, plus the energy from the sun, mixing it with water, chloroplasm, all of that stuff mixing together. And all of that makes a life form, which is the plant giving us our oxygen. But we would go to the schools and teach this to the kids. The little girls loved it. I mean, they were beating the guys out of the way, finding roly-polies. That was so much fun, explaining to kids how much water is in the waste can. They are dying to be taught the proper way. They need educational courses in surrounded about the soil, teaching them the life forms. Once we lose our organic worms and that life form, we're really in bad shape. Everything depends on the organic life form to survive in this world that we know that we live in. So yeah, kids are the key, and giving them a system. Everything that changes humanity is derived from a system. The automobile is a system of wheels, engines to put together. Airplane, whoever thought we'd be flying? Now we've got this problem of waste, garbage, big problem, human problem. There's a human solution. We untrain the old habit of placing everything in one bag. But before we can do that, we have to have another bag to put the liquid in. Not until we get this machine, even if it's a cup, even if it's a bucket by the door where you pour all the liquid items in, that is beneficial. We cannot continue to mix elements, especially the lifeblood of our earth, water. And there's water in everything.
Powerful, David. Oh my gosh, like how enlightening.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, as you're talking about saving water, honestly, it makes me feel sad with how ignorant we are. I
Oh,
mean, you're
now
just
you know.
you're just talking about glass of water, right? But like beyond a glass of water, we waste a lot of water.
If you spent at least 30 years thinking about what you just said, you'd invent something.
Right, for sure.
That's what
For
happened. I've
sure.
been thinking like for a long time. I've been thinking like what you just said,
Well,
and
I'm
David, we
glad
are
that you
so
are with the Los Angeles Tribune family, David. And Mo Rock's got your back. Your back. I remember from the first time that we met you, and he endorsed your book after meal. He's like really after what you do.
the
And
man
so,
saw through me.
while we're talking about this, let's get back to Alicia. Alicia,
Oh
stage is
God,
yours.
I love that guy, man.
I mean, what a powerful message, David. You all can hear the music is rocking and rolling right now. The parade is active. There are so many volunteers that came together for the parade. We're here. Stay tuned in just a moment for a very special treat. But you can feel the electric energy in the space. Like people are here having fun. They are smiling. It's a big part of peace. And we had our virtual day of peace yesterday. We had Aaron from the Jane Goodall Institute. We had Adam Roa, who shared his beautiful poem, Heaven, about heaven being here right now and about perspective, right? And we had Davna speak about how peace starts from within and then it reverberates out. And so it is just such a special time to be here because everyone is experiencing International Day of Peace in a different way, and it starts within because everyone that's here today decided this morning that they were going to come here and participate, and that makes all of the difference. So it's just beautiful to see people walking around, smiling, and thinking about what this day means to them. Stay tuned for a special treat. I just want you to listen if you guys can hear the music behind me, because Adam Roa was talking about healing and how art can help you feel, and feeling inspires you from within, and it's a memory, it's a feeling that you remember, and you can even see this young gentleman behind me smiling. It is a fun time today. So you are in for a very, very special treat in just a moment. But we're here with Jane Goodall's Roots and Shoots, and we're excited to hear Jane Goodall speak in a moment.
Well, Alicia, what I love about what you're doing there, and the thousands of people that are there, is there's a lot of things that are heartbreaking around the world, right? But it's to see that we can choose. We can choose peace, and we can choose to, do something about it. It's so
Yeah.
beautiful.
It is so beautiful, and you are all in for a very special treat because there's someone here with us today that would love to share a message about what peace means to him. Hello, you are live with the Los Angeles Tribune. We are here celebrating International Day of Peace with you and Jane Goodall. Yes. And Roots and Shoots. And I know you've been involved with Jane Goodall's works and Roots and Shoots for so long. Would love for you to share with our guests that are tuning in what it means to be here today.
What it means for me to be here is that anytime you bring peace together, it starts from the peace within. We are wired to want, and we are wired to give. I lean towards the giving part and sharing part. And Jane Goodall is huge in my life. I absolutely love this woman and all of the work that she has done. So I thank all of you for coming out here just as well and sharing the moment with us all. So thank you.
Thank you so
just
much,
spread the
Bono.
love.
We are spreading the love. We are tuning in here with Bono at the celebration of the International Day of Peace. We have Julianne Meyer here and Michael Silvers here, and we're just excited to be here. And Bono, I love the word that you said. It was love. We are here to celebrate love and peace. So thank you so much.
Thank you
Enjoy
so
your
much.
day.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are going to continue to walk around and enjoy. But
Well, I
that
think
was
that deserves a reaction. First of all, Misty, let's go and hear you.
I love the Los Angeles Tribune because we never know, right? Like she says, like, here's a special guest. It's like, is Michael coming back on? No, Bono. And he is such a great activist. His music, his nonprofits, the way that he benefits the world, and the fact he would just take time to inspire us and say a few words on the Los Angeles Tribune. I love this, and I'm blown away.
That's a mic drop right there. You say you were blown away. No one had anything to say. But David, and then we'll go to Karen. What are your thoughts about just experiencing Alicia with Bono and what's going on around Jane Goodall event in LA?
I tell you, Ava, you know I love you, but Alicia, she's so special too.
Okay, now we're going into comparisons. That's not good.
No, but the whole team, you guys are awesome. The Los Angeles Tribune is a community-minded, I don't know what I'll call it, an event, a program, a process, but everything you guys do is all about empowering women, empowering the small businessman, empowering the community, empowering people to do the best that they can be. I mean, how in the hell can you lose with that hand? I mean, you got one of the greatest leaders in Mo. You got Michael on the mic. You got Karen there. And every time you do something where there's a whole lot of ladies involved, I go Google. I mean, when you did the talent show, Alicia was stunning. You guys are the other, I don't know if you call yourself just a media organization. You
We
guys
call ourselves the vision of Mr. Mo Rock.
You guys are talented. You guys got talent. I'm so excited to be talking to you guys. I can't believe that I'm working with the Los Angeles Tribune.
Well, David, we are honored to even be able to shine a light in what you've been doing for 30 years. 30 years.
Yeah.
And you've been battling with this and looking for opportunities in whatever way you could to grow the awareness in what you're doing. So, one of the things that I always say is I feel so honored and so privileged to be able to elevate others because I feel like I just show up. They've been doing the work for years, right, Karen?
That's what you guys are doing. You guys are awesome.
Karen, what are your thoughts? Would love to hear what your thoughts are, Karen.
As you were talking, David, about your invention and about changing the way, unlearning and learning a new system, it made me think about Mo Rock. And I thought about how, his vision is to change the status quo with media. And you are doing the same thing.
In the right place at the right time.
Yes. And I thought how Jane Goodall, changed the status quo and recognizing that animals have emotions and they, all the different observations, how they use tools, where they thought, no, there was no way, and no, you can't communicate with them, and no, they can't think like that. And how long Jane had to continue to work and to persevere, just like you, David, the way that you have worked. And I'm sure there's been trial and error and practice and look at what you have accomplished. I am just in awe.
Thank you. When you focus on something, you got to learn something. After 30 years, I would be really bad off, man, if I didn't know nothing after 30 years of focusing on this one product. I tell you, it's awesome.
Well, thank you for your perseverance and thank you for your dedication, because I know it's because you care that you have spent so much time and so much energy. And I'm so grateful that the Los Angeles Tribune recognizes this and
those guys are awesome.
Supporting you. Yes.
There are a lot of people that, they call up, hey, 10 million here. Yeah, okay, yeah, that would be. No, I have a mouthpiece. I have a team. The Los Angeles Tribune.
They heard you, and they're just showing the red carpet right now. They heard you, David. Look, you're getting a red carpet tour with a thumbs up. I think that's Marisa, who's giving us. Yeah, that is Marisa with on the camera. So that this is so exciting, and I love what you do, David, and what you just said is just
Thank you.
thank you for also honoring, the work that the Los Angeles Tribune is doing
Oh,
in
you guys are
changing
the
the
best.
status quo, right? And
And to top it off, you guys are full of integrity. All of you guys, you're an integrity organization. You don't find that nowhere. I mean, to be able to work with those kind of people, come on, man. You got to be kidding me. Oh yeah, Los Angeles Tribune, you're the best.
and I know we didn't pay David to say that.
Oh, listen, Ava, I'm on a calling. When you're on a calling, you don't get paid. The 35 years I put into this, I've spent so much money on the first product that I invented. I got TV commercials. I got a ton of money invested in this. I haven't made a penny. So, I must like
Well,
what I'm doing.
David, the thing is, you have a mission,
This is a
and it's
mission. This
a
is my calling.
pretty big vision that you're. I mean, it changes the world. I feel like when what you do and your product gets out there, this world isn't going to be the same.
Yes,
It won't be the same.
it has to change.
David has a quest, like one of those big adventures, the hero, the journey, and just really putting in all the time, the work, the sweat, the effort, the investment,
But
just
we've
to
got
be
to
able
change
to
that
impact
those
the
two
world, David.
habits. If we change those two habits, throwing away fresh water and defecating in fresh water, we can save ourselves. That those two things affect climate change and global warming to the 10th, more than most other polluting factors. Garbage is a non-point of pollution. Nobody's paying any attention to it. But if you look at all the things and stuff that we throw away, jeez, all the single-use items, it's a shame.
Well, I see that Alicia is back. Alicia, tell us
Hello.
what's going on in there.
I will just give you guys a walk around. I mean, you heard the remarks from Bono earlier about how working with Jane Goodall and the Roots and Shoots organization has impacted his life. And he shared a word I just want to touch upon again, and that word is love. You really feel the love here, and you can just see people are continuing to come out. Jane Goodall is going to get on stage in just a few minutes and really share more about her message, where she started from, the work that Roots and Shoots organization is doing right now, and where Roots and Shoots is going around the world. And what's so phenomenal is Roots and Shoots is global. And there are Roots and Shoots chapters from all over the place. But, there's so many individuals that are part of the community here. We were talking to a Rotary member earlier who was talking about how he and other Rotary members volunteer to uplift his community, and that he joined the Rotary Club when he was just 19 because something happened to his father. His father passed away, and his mom went from not working to working two jobs to support the family. And he remembers how Rotary Club members supported his family growing up. And so he believes in giving back, and he believes in supporting people around his community. So it's just wonderful. And I just want to give you all a peek because there are so many booths here. There are vendors that have come in. This is Climate Cool Down that are coming in. There are sustainable clothing companies here. There are artists, botanical inks. So it's really fun to be here. It is really just a good time, and you see people smiling, and it's just amazing. Karen, I saw you smirking a little bit earlier. Why did that smile come to your face?
I think it was because I was just thinking about how much work it takes to persevere, to do new things. And a lot of times you're told, no, you can't do that. No, that will never happen. And I thought about the courage that David had to continue, which reminded me of Jane Goodall and how she was told, no, you'll never be able to go to Africa. No, you can't do that. You're just a girl and you don't have enough money. And it just made me think about all the overcoming and persevering to accomplish that vision. Just like Ava said, David has this vision. Mo Rock has this incredible vision. Michael Silvers, the Los Angeles Tribune is made up of people who have a vision. And so It's so amazing to celebrate Jane Goodall and the fruition of her vision that she has accomplished producing.
Amen.
Yes and amen. I mean, the ripple effects, right, of the work, and the ripple effects of what happens when you can choose to say, it doesn't matter what people think. You know, a vision was instilled in me. These words came from somewhere. If it is in my mind and in my heart, then I'm going to do the work. We had Sarah and Yvonne Feddersen on during our virtual day of peace yesterday, and they are the co-founders of Child Help, which is an organization that supports children that have been sexually abused, mentally abused, physically abused. They're also the recipient of the President's Lifetime Achievement Award, presented by the Los Angeles Tribune, nominated by Mark Victor Hansen. But they spoke about that a lot. I mean, when they started their work, it was after the typhoon in Japan. Found 11 children that were half American, half Japanese, that were living outside alone, you know, that they weren't accepted. And they were there to Yvonne and Sarah to support the troops, and they said, we have to do something about these children. We need to find them shelter. They snuck the children into their own living quarters that evening until they could find space for them the next day, and they brought the community together to do so. And then they discovered there were more children there that they could impact and influence. And I mean, they were in Japan, they were in their 20s. They could have easily been like, we're not from here, we're going back home. But they couldn't, right? Because in them, in their spirit, they said they have to do something and make a change. And over 60 years later, they've impacted the lives of over 13 million people. And it just shows you that you might just think you're a person, but if you have a thought, if something is in your heart that you're like, I want to do this, I need to do this, I should do this, go take that step. And it's not about what is going to be the impact 50, 60 years down the road. You may not know, but how can you make an impact today? How can you make an impact in this hour? And where can that lead you to? So it's just, I don't know. I love that you brought that up, Karen. It warms my heart. It's so important.
Well, Jane warms my heart. She's such a great example, and David is too.
Thank you.
Yes, David, you're a great example. We have the Arboretum here, the Los Angeles County Arboretum, the land of the peacocks. They're here, they're packing up. But I mean, Jane has brought people together from all around the community. Misty, I would love to hear, because you do a lot of work right now with children and youth development. Would love to hear about how Jane Goodall and her work has impacted some of the work that you do with the kids that you work with.
You know, it's so funny you asked. Jane Goodall has a book, Reason for Hope. Reason for Hope. And over 23 years working with at-risk youth and their families, I think the one thing that sets the foundation is giving hope back to somebody, giving hope back. So I know that the We Care, the 60 years, and they helped thousands of kids. It started with those 11 in a moment where they just made a decision in that moment that they were going to do something about the present, right? So I think sometimes when we get overwhelmed about when there's so much hurt or there's so much waste in the world, and David, I'm going to be like thinking about this the 8,000 next times I go to the bathroom about the fresh water, and it's going to start to probably help me be like, okay, where do I pour this cup, right? Like it just takes daily actions. It just takes daily actions. And so
Yes.
in working with kids, one of the things we do is behavioral modification.
Yes.
Behavioral modification, and that starts with the things we believe to be true, we create around us.
Yes.
The things we believe to be true, we create around us. So if we believe garbage magically disappears and we're all going to be fine, we're going to continue those habits. But if we kind of wake up to and we're aware, you know what? All we have to start to do is pour water where it needs to go, or to look at different ways to get liquid out of the trash. That's a start. And that start, if we start today, what's that going to be like if 20 people start every day? In 10 years, how many glasses of water are we going to be able to take back? So that's what I get most excited about, especially in Jane's work. She just had that passion, and she just saw something. The heart, right? Saw the heart. And then it's so crazy how I can't believe she's 90, first of all. When Mo was talking about, this day coming up, and I'm like, how old is she? I remember hearing about her when I was a kid and really loving some of those documentaries and getting to see as a kid, how cool it was to see her communicating with the chimpanzees, or how you could feel their hearts with the things they were doing. And then we Googled it, and I was like, 90? And she's not right now sitting by an ocean cheersing her work, right? She's at a park, in a movement with
David Jones is going to be
thousands
that
of
person
people.
at
Like,
90.
what an amazing legacy that she still continues to leave, even in her 90s.
I think Alicia's trying to come on, so I really appreciate that comment, Misty. Think about 90. I mean, even our guests, Sarah Mara and Yvonne Pedersen, the childhelp.orgs were 90-year-olds too. I'm pretty amazing. Alicia.
Yes, so we're actually in for a treat right now. I am standing here with the Arboretum, with the Los Angeles County Arboretum. I'm standing here with Rachel, and would love for you to share a little bit more about why, like the work that Jane Goodall and Roots and Shoots, how has that impacted your work, and a little bit more about the initiatives that are going on at the Los Angeles County Arboretum.
I think the both of us were just growing up. I think for me, it definitely inspired my career path largely. I think Rachel would probably say the same. So the opportunity to be involved with Roots and Shoots and with her mission and to celebrate her 90th birthday, it's a way to celebrate what she's contributed to the world. And her work ties in beautifully to the work that we do at the Arboretum, which is focused on conservation, nature education, breaking down biases from a young age. So it's just nice to have a hand in the same pot.
Wow, that's so beautiful. And Rachel, would love for you to hear from you as well.
Yeah, I think to second what Brooke said, yeah, I think Jane is just so inspirational with the environmental impact she's had, and that's something that we try to tie into all the work that we do and just make nature and those experiences really accessible.
Wow, that's so wonderful. And if you all live in Los Angeles, or if you're ever in Los Angeles, highly recommend that you visit the Arboretum in Los Angeles County. I've had the opportunity actually to go with Ava and just walk around and explore and learn. I think what's so beautiful is that you have plants from literally regions all around the world. And it's so beautiful, but I love the education. Like, we actually took a trolley tour and we went around and we went all over. It was a long day. Just learning about the different plants, the trees, the flowers from Asia, from Mexico, the agave, and it's beautiful. And it's also home to peacocks, which are just a beautiful symbol, I think, of regeneration, rebirth, and renewal. And a lot of environmental work is centered around regeneration, rebirth, and renewal and conservation. So Erin, Rachel, it's just really nice to connect with you. I know that you all are packing up, but I think the work that you do is really important, and just, wanted for you to share more about what you do at the Arboretum. Is there anything coming up at the Arboretum that you'd like our viewers to kind of tune into or be aware about arboretums in general?
Yeah, we have a very robust October coming up. We are going to be doing something Halloween themed every weekend. And it's Halloween meets nature, meets education, meets fun and whimsy, and it'll be educational but also really charming and exciting for all different ages, adults, children, everything in between.
That's amazing. So we are standing here with Rachel and Erin from the Arboretum in Los Angeles County. I hope you ladies continue to enjoy it today, and I'll see you at the Arboretum soon. I love the Arboretum. Ava, back to you.
Absolutely. My gosh, that's my favorite place, the Arboretum, with all the peacocks that are Alicia's spirit animal. Her spirit animal is a peacock. Oh, there. Okay, you got your memento. So tell us what's going on now. Are they getting ready to listen to Jane Goodall's speech?
Yes, so I'm going to bring you a little bit closer. We have individuals that are part of the Roots and Shoots organization that are joining the stage. The band just finished, and we're getting ready to hear from Jane Goodall in just a few moments. So we're going to bring you a little bit closer before we hear opening remarks from Jane. But as you can see, everyone is starting to walk in closer to that center stage so they can hear more remarks from the Roots and Shoots team.
Hello again.
And Alicia, just to let you be aware, your mic,
He's not going to leave my part in the.
when it's far from people, we don't hear them.
Oh, okay, good to know. We are live and we are in the park, so thank you for that, Ava.
For sure. There's always this technical considerations when we're live.
So I think we're gonna get ready for the show. So we're gonna get a little bit closer to the stage. And Ava, I would love for you to kind of just share more of the work that the Los Angeles Tribune is doing to support nonprofits and organizations and helping them get their message out there. And then we'll be right back with a closer view of the stage.
Sure. Okay. We'll see you in a bit. What's exciting is the Los Angeles Tribune has a commitment to nonprofit organizations. One of the articles we were featured in Business Insider, I believe, was the declaration of our CEO Mo Rock in allocating $10 million in visibility funds and marketing funds to nonprofit organizations, and that's something that we stand behind. And one of the reasons is because, we're a believer that there's so many people who do so many good things out there, but somehow media and news only highlights and focuses the ones that are bad, right? So, redefining media and changing the status quo, news that uplifts, inspires, and educates. We get to feature the good, like David Jones and thewaterwhale.com, like Roots and Shoots and Jane Goodall. And Misty, what are some of the nonprofit organizations that you are also supporting? Let's take this opportunity while we're getting ready to hear Jane to hear some of the organizations that you're supporting.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. And Mo has also supported one of the organizations that I've been with for 23 years, Oak Grove Center. And we work with at-risk youth, foster youth, and their families. And we have several programs, like a residential treatment center where kids live and get mental health. We have therapists. I think we have, right now, we probably have over about 30 therapists that work in the organization. We have over about 250 staff. We have schools throughout Riverside County. And then my programs, we have an independent living program for foster youth, 16 to 22 in Riverside County, where if you're in foster youth just one day after your 16th birthday, you qualify to come to our program and get skills, incentives, money, housing to be able to find permanency. So one of the things we love to do. And then in my programs, wraparound, we go into the home. It's kind of funny because we go into the home so you don't have to go to us here in our residential treatment center, but we work with families in their home so the child doesn't have to leave their home or their school and still get the mental health things that they need. And we do several events, and Mo's been able to come out to a couple of them. And of course, every time Gifts to the Cause is able to just help, just spend time or give resources to be able to help us do what we do best, which is help children.
I am blown away because that used to be a big gap when kids age out of the foster system, right? Like they're being thrown into the streets with no driver's licenses, with no IDs. They don't know where to get their social security number, and they end up homeless. And they end up in drugs, and they end up, they're unable to go to school. They're unable to get jobs because I'm like, how much of those things do you need to get a job? And they're not ready. And so I love that you're bridging that gap. The day they turn 18, your service is now able to handhold them into being an adult.
Well, and it was really great because here in the state of California, about 2016, the laws changed where we got rid of this word called emancipation. Where when a kid turns 18, they're like, congratulations, you're an adult. But they really weren't. I mean, I remember being in my 20s and still calling home. I don't know about you guys. But just having that connection of family or having the resources that I needed in tough times. And so what happens here in the state of California, we've extended foster youth from 18 to 22. So it's called non-minor dependency. And if they were in the system at 18, they could choose to stay in the system until 22, still working with the social worker, still getting the services, still qualifying for housing, qualifying for job support, finance support. So it's kind of like having that a little bit of an extension to be able to get on your feet and get to try on adulthood. And
I'm interested, Misty, what's the success of that initiative extending foster support from instead of ending at 18, extended to 22. What's
Oh my
the
gosh,
success of it?
what an amazing question! And I was like, I thought you were reading the website itself. Foster youth at 18 were the highest statistic for homelessness, drugs, and unfortunately suicide. So what extension from 18 to 22 did was we got to see we're seeing decreases, and we're still seeing decreases in that number. Now, the battle's not over. I mean, there's still lots of work to do, but we're putting the work. The coolest thing the state ever did was, and I get to work all through the state of California because I'm also a trainer in all the counties, and I've worked at the highest level in the state that oversees the whole child welfare system, and get to meet those individuals and help. And the cool thing is they brought foster youth into the state and kicked everyone else out of the room except for the state representatives who make the laws. And they get to once a year for an entire weekend, they tour the Capitol and they sit with these individuals that make the laws and they give their stories. And ever since that started in about 2015, 2016, we've seen lots of reform because they're getting it straight from the kids who are either still in the system or, as unfortunately at that time was called, survived the system. And so it was such a remarkable thing just to have the voices go straight to the people that have the biggest influence over their lives. Things changed, like you had to have a bachelor's degree even to work into the system. Whereas before there was 18-year-olds working with other foster youth, and the foster youth are like, they're just like us. Like, how come the staff aren't more trained? How come the staff aren't trained more in trauma informed, and to be able to help us? Because that's the biggest thing is coming. If you're in the system, it's the trauma. The behaviors are the aftermath of the trauma. And unfortunately, what happens is most services come in and they try to decrease the behaviors or help the behaviors, but not really get to that foundation of the trauma. If you get a chance, Googling the ACEs is a really interesting thing to do, because it is this, well, now it's a assessment to be able to take, but what it turns out, it was a study that found out, and a lot of us didn't even know, including myself, is any form of childhood trauma impacts you later on in adulthood. It was founded because people were dying too young and medical couldn't figure out why. And so this one doctor was like, let me get in here and start to study and do research. It turned out childhood trauma that we didn't even know was trauma, like brutal divorces, neglect, living with someone with a mental health condition. So it's this stuff that we think trauma, like kids being physically, mentally, emotionally, or sexually abused, but there's a list that goes past that. If you grew up and your family, your mom or dad was military, that adds some trauma. And the studies aren't quite out yet, but just our kids going into school nowadays, there's forms of trauma that we don't even have the capacity to study yet. So sorry, I get very passionate and excited. So to see days like this, where we're coming together for peace, and you see children of all ages there and adults and organizations that came out to care, this is when it gets to make the change, is when you don't feel alone, when you don't feel isolated, when you could look around and see that others are there for you.
Well, Misty, first of all, you never have to apologize for being passionate for what you stand for. I love your passion that just comes out of you as you speak about, the very nonprofit organizations that you're supporting, because we all get to make a difference. Even as the Los Angeles Tribune has a commitment to nonprofit organizations, I know that the people that we are involved with, that are in the Los Angeles Tribune community, have their own organizations that they're supporting. And David Jones is running one. David Jones, we'll take the opportunity to just hear about your nonprofit organizations. Tell us a little more about that while we're waiting for Jane to come.
I think we're introducing her right now, Ava.
Oh, okay. We'll put a pause on that. Put a pin on that.
Every individual,
Alicia,
to make the world a better place for people,
Jane is about to come on. Stay
animals,
tuned.
and the planet we share.
So
In
we'll put
1977, Dr. Goodall established the Jane Goodall Institute, a global leader in chimpanzee and habitat protection through her innovative community-led conservation. In addition, Jane Goodall's Roots and Shoots is a global environment and humanitarian program, empowering young people of all ages to become involved in hands-on projects to benefit the community, animals, and the environment. Jane travels, and this should humble all of us, Jane travels approximately 300 days a year to make the world better for all of us. How lucky are we, all of us, that today, on International Peace Day, we get to have her here with us. So finally, before we ask her to come on stage, can we just all agree, just as friends here, can we just all agree today that Tarzan completely blew it in marrying the wrong Jane? It is now my incredible honor to give a warm California welcome to Dr. Jane Goodall.
Well, thank you for a wonderful welcome and happy International Peace Day to all of you here. And I have one request. If at some point you cannot hear me because of the system, would you raise your arms and wave them? Yeah, they can't hear you. What can we do? Can you hear now? Yes? Could I have the yes hands up? No hands up. They can't hear back there. So it's a waste of my time talking to you if you can't hear me. So what can we do? Is this better? The nose, can you hear better now? Yes, okay. Well, anytime you can't hear, wave your arms, because I find it a huge waste of my energy to talk to people who cannot hear what I'm saying. Well, here we are, International Peace Day, an amazing parade of peace dogs. There are so many people I want to thank. I cannot start mentioning names, because then there will be people whose names I do not mention who will be upset. But I do want to say a very, very special thank you to 4 people who have worked to maintain Roots and Shoots in Los Angeles, to maintain the base camp here, which is the hub of Roots and Shoots in Los Angeles. And they've been with me for years and years, too long for me to remember. And that's Dar and John and Val. Thank you. And there's all the other people who've been working here in Los Angeles. And then there's our amazing Jane Goodall Institute, Roots and Shoots team. Some of them have come quite a long way to be here with us today on this International Peace Day. And then there are the volunteers. There are people from government. There are all those who've worked really hard to make the peace dogs that you saw on the parade. And finally, I need to mention the LAPD, who've been with me right from the very start, Steve Margolis. So they're here with me today, keeping me safe from, I don't believe there's a single person with a dark heart here today. But you know, you all know that in the most peaceful places, suddenly violence can erupt. You never know. So it's always worth to take precautions. So thank you, LAPD. So here we are, the UN International Peace Day. And for many, many years, I was in the United Nations in New York when the peace bell was rung by the Secretary General of the United Nations. It always took me back to my childhood. When I was just 5 years old, World War II broke out. I lived through World War II. And at the end of World War II, we all said, never again. And the United Nations Bell of Peace, which is run once a year, was presented by Japanese children from metal after the war. So some people can't hear. I see arms waving. You can't talk any louder. If you can't hear, it's the microphone and not me. Wavers, is it better? No? Yes, I don't know what you mean. Wave if you can hear better. Okay, you can hear better, thank you. So you all know that the world is not a very peaceful place. We're here to celebrate. We're here on a wonderful day in California. But could we spend a few seconds now thinking about those people suffering in Ukraine, in Russia, in Gaza, in Israel, in other parts of the world? Could we just be quiet for just a few seconds and think about them and pray that peace will come to them as well? Thank you. Because, you know, the major religions in the world have the same saying: do to others as you would have them do to you. Do you really think the people who start these wars wish that those who they fight would do the same to them? Of course they don't. Ordinary people want peace. It's only some of the leaders, the mistaken leaders, who are out for their own ends. They start the wars. They recruit young people to go and fight on battlefields where they may be killed and maimed. Think of the suffering mothers and fathers. So this is what we are hoping for today. As I say, at the end of World War II, we all said, never again. I've lived on this planet 80 years since then. And during that time, things have not got better. But on the other hand, on this International Peace Day, I want to give a word of hope. And there are many reasons for us to be hopeful. And there's many, many more reasons for us to lose hope. If we lose hope, then doesn't that mean if we lose hope that we fall into apathy? If you don't hope that what you're doing is going to make a difference, why bother? And so people come to me and say, I feel depressed. I feel I've lost hope. The world is in such a mess. I'm one person. There's nothing I can do about it. And so they lose hope. And as many of you know, suicide rates have gone up around the world. So I say to them, you can't change the world. One person can't change the world. But think about where you live. Are there things that bother you? Do you hate the trash on the streets or on the beach? Do you hate the sight of homeless people huddled in doorways? Do you worry about the number of stray dogs? Do you care about the way that we often treat wild animals? Do you care about habitat being destroyed to build yet another shopping mall? If you do, then see what you can do with a group of your friends to do something about it. And you will find that you can make a difference. I know that you in this part of California know that really well. You know that every individual can make an impact on the planet every single day. And when you get a group of people making an impact every single day, the change that you make collectively is huge. It was because because I was meeting so many people who seemed to have lost hope, that I began way back in 1991 our young people's program, Environmental and Humanitarian Roots and Shoots. I began Roots and Shoots. It was mainly, well, it started in Africa, in Tanzania. And it was a group of high school students. They were concerned about poaching in the national parks. They were concerned about street children with no homes. They were concerned about the treatment of stray dogs and many other things. We had a gathering of about 30 high school students, and we formed in 1991 this program, Roots and Shoots. And right from the beginning, its main message was every single one of us matters. Every single one of us makes an impact on the planet every single day. And we get to choose what sort of impact we make. And right from the beginning, because I learned in the rainforest of Gombe, where I was studying the chimpanzees, because I learned that everything is interconnected, that an ecosystem is this complex mix of animals and plants, each one with a role to play. We decided that every Roots and Shoots group would choose. They would choose. We wouldn't tell them what to do. They would choose 3 projects, one to help people, one to help other animals, one to help the environment. The projects that they chose would differ from place to place, depending on the age of the young people, because now we have members from kindergarten, even a few preschoolers, through university, and adults are now beginning to form groups. And we decided and understood that in different environments, different projects would be important. The age of the student, the environment they lived in, the culture they lived in, and very often the religion that they were born into. All of those things would influence what they chose to do to make the world a better place. But what wasn't obvious at the beginning is what's happened now. Because in different countries, and Roots and Shoots is now in 70 different countries around the world. As often as we can, we like to link groups from different countries, usually virtually, but when we can, face to face. And so young people who care about the environment or people or animals, they're working on the same project, whatever country they come from, whatever religion they come from. And they work together, and they discover in this way that much, much more important than the color of our skin, our language, our culture, even our religion, is the fact we're all human beings. We all cry, we all laugh, we all hope. And so the reason that the United Nations chose me as a messenger of peace was because of Roots and Shoots. So what are we doing as Roots and Shoots to promote world peace? We're growing young people who share a mission, young people who understand the importance of making this a better world, young people who understand that if we don't protect our environment, if we don't protect biodiversity, the different species, all interdependent, make up the environment. We can't protect those things. Gradually, we are destroying the natural world. And what more and more people are failing to understand, but what Roots and Shoots and its mentors understand really well, is that not only are we part of the natural world, and it's easy here, isn't it, in a beautiful place like this, to feel part of the natural world, feel the wind in your face, to look up at the trees and hear the birds and think, Oh, how lucky we are to be part of such a beautiful place. But think of those in inner cities. Think of those in war-torn countries. They don't have that wonderful feeling of oneness. So what we really need to understand everywhere is that we actually depend on the natural world for food, for clothes, for water, for everything. But we depend on healthy ecosystems, that complex structure that I described of plants and animals, each one with a role to play. And you know, I see an ecosystem as like a beautiful tapestry where every strand of that tapestry is interrelated to one of the other strands. And as a species of plant or animal disappear from that ecosystem, it's like pulling a thread from the tapestry. And if enough threads are pulled, then the tapestry will hang in tatters and the ecosystem will collapse. And it's when ecosystems collapse that we get things like climate change, loss of biodiversity, the things which threaten us today. Well, the good news, more and more people are becoming aware of these threats. More and more people, like the young volunteers here, are working really hard to do what they can to slow down climate change, to help the world heal some of that harm that we've inflicted. And this is happening all around the world. And it's happening with different cultures, with different religions. And so I see Roots and Shoots and other similar youth programs as developing the leaders of tomorrow, the decision makers. And because we began in 1991, we already have Roots and Shoots members who are in those decision-making positions. And they are making a difference. And I'll give you one example. There was a Roots and Shoots member in Tanzania who got elected to be Minister of Wildlife. And at a time when we had very you haven't heard yet why you should applaud him. I'm going to tell you, at that time we had a president who couldn't care less about the environment. And he started destroying a World Heritage Site to make a dam that would affect the environment for miles around. And he announced on radio and television, anybody who opposes this dam will face the consequences. And at that time, people in Tanzania who opposed the government were disappearing, like in Russia. This young man who had been through Roots and Shoots went to him, knowing he could lose his life, and opposed the dam. Luckily, he only lost his job. But that's Roots and Shoots for you. There's another, now you can applaud him. There's something else that's very important with Roots and Shoots. That is the way that young people can influence their parents, their grandparents, their teachers, and their friends. And there are many, many examples of this. And I pick out just a few. First of all, I was talking to the CEO of a big international corporation. And he came up to me and he said, Jane, I want to promise you that for the last 8 years, I've really been trying to get my corporation more ethical, more sustainable in the countries where we source our products, in the supply chain as well as we can, in our offices around the world, and put step on the natural world, are they conserving energy and so on, and in the way we treat our customers. And he said there were 3 reasons for this fight I'm having. First of all, it was writing on the wall. We're using up natural resources in some places faster than nature can replenish them. Secondly, consumer pressure. People who can afford it, which is most of us, haven't today, are asking questions about the products they buy. Where were they made? Did they harm the environment? Was it cruel to animals, like the terrible intensive factory? Is it cheap because of unfair wages? And then I'm not going to buy it. I will seek to buy a product that is more environmentally sustainable. Will it cost a little bit more? Probably, but if something costs that little bit more, you will value it more and you will waste less. And human waste is a huge problem. So, the second story is about a little girl in China, in Chengdu. When I first met her, she was 9 years old and she couldn't speak a word of English. But she followed me around when I was giving talks. Her parents are quite wealthy, and the parents translated for me. Joy says that she will know English in 2 years so that when you next come to China, she can talk to you. Yes, that happened. I spoke to Joy. Her English was really good. She started a Roots and Shoots group. They did many things in Chengdu to make that place better. But then I had a letter from her mother. Her mother couldn't speak English, but Joy translated it for me. And the mother said, until you came, I was just an ordinary housewife. And I went shopping. I didn't ask questions about what I bought. I just bought what I needed. But then Joy told me about that I should think about the environmental impact, the human impact. And I talked to my friends and they began shopping in a different way. And then she gave up her job and started programs for Roots and Shoots. She wrote little plays. She went to the schools. She said, Jane, your visit changed me from a person who didn't care to someone who cares about the future of the planet. And that, I think, is a rather amazing story. In China, we still have over 1,000 active groups right across the country. Roots and Shoots is making change. I can't hear in the back. Well, I have to give a second lecture. You have to come to the front. I can't do anything. I cannot do it louder than this. Can you hear in the back? Yes, no? Yes, okay. You're wrong. They can hear. Anyway, so any of you I'll send you a copy of this lecture, which is recorded, so you can hear what I've said. So let me finish off. We are in grim times, like I've said, but there is hope. And my biggest hope is the energy, commitment, dedication, and passion of young people. All of you young people out here, once you understand the problems and we empower you to take action, you are making a difference. And you're making a difference in the way you think about other people in different cultures. Learn about them. Talk to them through Roots and Shoots or some other way that you can communicate with them. And you understand that just as important as it's peace between nations, religions, peace with the natural world upon which we depend. You understand that. You're taking action. You're choosing what projects to do. You're rolling up your sleeves and taking action. And for that I have hope, and for that I thank you. Hope is our we are different from other animals, more in respect to this explosive development of our intellect than in any other way. We haven't used it wisely, have we? So animals are way more intelligent than we used to think. I mean, octopuses If you haven't watched my octopus teacher, watch it. We now know that rats can be taught to do the most amazing things. And the giant hero rats in Africa have been taught to detect landmines buried under the ground after one of the African civil wars. And they're now learning how to detect illegally smuggled wildlife. In the ports, they can climb up the crates and detect ivory or rhino horn or pangolin scales and so on. And they're being taught to go down into the rubble of and find people who are still alive and signal to their trainer. Now, rats are amazingly intelligent. Now, goldfish. Goldfish can be taught to play soccer. If you don't believe me, Google Chinese person who trains goldfish. Bees who being taught to roll a little bead and drop it into a hole for a reward of nectar. That's interesting in itself. Other bees who have not been trained can do the same thing just by watching the trained bees. So start thinking differently about animals, who they are, and how we should relate to them. Start thinking about the way we treat the animals in the intensive farms. And if you don't know, well, you can Google it. You won't sleep very well afterwards, but it may help you understand moving towards a plant-based diet. It's not only good for the animals, of course, but it's also good for the environment, because miles of habitat are destroyed to grow the grain. Masses of water is used to change vegetable to animal protein, and also particularly cows produce gas out of the other end, food in one end, gas out the other. That's methane, and that's a really virulent greenhouse gas. Of course, masses of CO2 emissions are caused by intensive farming, whether animals, crops, or anything else. So finally, at last, we're beginning to use our intellect in ways to benefit the planet and the future of our young people. And, alternative energy and things of that sort are all beginning to help. We've got a long way to go, but we're making a good start. Next reason for hope: the environment is so resilient. Places we have totally destroyed, give the environment time and perhaps some help, and once again, beauty will return. You've got many examples in California. I don't need to go through them. I was just with a group that have been working to save the California sea otter. And, there are people out there, amazing people who get a passion, and they gather a group together, people with a similar passion, and they are changing the world. Because I travel 300 days a year all over the world, I'm really lucky to meet so many of these people and to see firsthand what can be done when people care. And I know that here in California, there are millions of people who care. Good for you. Go on caring. So, two last things. First of all around the world this year, there have been 48 major elections in 48 countries. And sadly, a lot of those elections have moved towards those who care more about making money now than the future of the planet and the future of our children. And so I've been saying as I go around the world, maybe a lot of young people just feel they're fed up with politics, so they're not going to vote. There's a lot of young people, particularly young people, or undecided people, who just think, well, it doesn't really make any difference, I'm not going to vote. And I'm wanting to say to you, and please share this message, your vote is important. If you can register to vote, choose the candidate who seems to care more for the future. It may not be your ideal person, but if it's a choice between two, choose the one who you think will do better for your children and theirs. So my last thing I want to say to you is a Roots and Shoots story, which I believe symbolizes what Roots and Shoots is all about, and why on this particular day, the International Day of Peace, we can look to the young people to a better future where there will be less violence, less conflict. That's my hope. So this story is about the very first group of Roots and Shoots started in the Democratic Republic of Congo. It's in the eastern part of the country, which is where all the minerals are. So always there's one group of militia there, and then another group comes in and they fight, and another group takes over, but there's always a group of militia there. This group of young people, they were between 9 and 13, 14, something like that. And they decided for their first project, they wanted to put trees back on a hill that at one time they learned was a sacred hill. But now the trees are being cut down. Well, they didn't realize that actually this hill was much further away than they thought and much bigger than they thought. But their mentor didn't want to, damp their enthusiasm. So he went to a forest, a friend, and got donated a whole lot of little saplings that they could plant. And then he went to the general of the militia that was ensconced there and said, is it okay if these children, there were 15 of them, is it okay if they go and plant trees on that hill? And the general said, well, it's a stupid idea, but I suppose there's no harm in it, but I have to send soldiers with you. So imagine this little group, 15 little children, touching their sapling, and I suppose something to dig with, and 4 big, strong Congolese soldiers with AK-47 rifles over their shoulder, going with them. A ridiculous picture, isn't it? So they get there, and the ground is very hard, and the children are struggling to make a hole to plant the tree, and the youngest starts to cry. Within 10 minutes, one of the soldiers leans his gun against a tree and goes to help her. And within the next 10 minutes, all the soldiers laid aside their guns and were helping the children plant trees for the future of the planet.
Karen and Misty. And we're going to bring back David Jones also to join us, just to give us some comments on what your experience is in being a part of this event, although virtually. I'm so touched. I love her closing comments, Jane's closing comments on like our youth being the future, and handing it over to make sure that our youth creates a better future. What are your takeaways?
That is the goal. That's what it's all about. My millennials kids, they've grown up, moved out, don't speak to them that much, but my message is to leave this place better than I found it. If I can do that, that is what the goal is. That is what my mission is, to be able to conceive that this product will do what it's intended to do. I feel in my heart, I know for sure that it will do that, eliminating liquid out of the black liner bag. But that is in fact doing something for the future. We've been taught this bad habit of, throwing everything into one bag. The future is selectively having places to put, especially liquid. Liquid must be selected from all other items. Now we're starting to put plastic in one bag. We're starting to put the glass bottles in one bag. I even saw in a hospital that they had
David, I really would love to be able to like really dive deep on this with you. I feel like we need a whole segment just for like the water wheel and
there's so
all I mean 30 years. How do you
35.
even compress that into an hour? 30 years of study and pursuit and invention and attempts and multiple attempts and different
And
pursuits.
you
So
all of
let's save some time for you to be on your own, like really deep. I personally wanted to understand, like make it an enlightening session, because there's so much ignorance in water recycling, water waste, and all of that. So we'll reserve a space for you to interview you in person personally. But for this round, I'd love to be able to go around and hear what's your experience, right, watching and being a part globally, from our different audiences around the world also. Like, what's your experience being a part of Jane Goodall's Roots and Shoots, National Day of Peace event? Let's start with you, Karen.
Yes, and thank you, David, for being with us today. And yes, we do want to hear more from you in the future. And so we appreciate you, and we appreciate the difference you're making in the world, because you're making a big difference. And that message just kept coming up again and again, how it just takes one person. Just start where you are. Start within your heart. The peace can start within with you, and it spreads outward. And we may not know the ripple effect and all of the different impacts that has, but there is always an impact. And I thought about one of the things that Jane said: we all cry, we all love, and we all hope. Our experiences may be very different, but we can connect on an emotional level. And Jane connected with the animals on an emotional level. And as the UN messenger of peace, she is such a great example of bringing peace in all aspects of life. And so I appreciate so much, just as Misty was talking about, her hope, how she is bringing hope to everyone. And I appreciate that, because when you look at the world, sometimes it's overwhelming and you think, I don't know what I can do. I don't know if there's anything I can do. It's just, too overwhelming. We can start within. We can start in our own circle, and then we can look for ways to serve. What is it that we care about, Jane said, and then do something about that. And the other thing that she said that I really appreciated in another writing that she said was, it's only when our head and our heart work in harmony that we achieve our potential. And I believe that. I think that is really true. That alignment is so important. And so thank you for the opportunity to celebrate the Day of Peace with the Los Angeles Tribune. And thank you, Mo, Michael Silvers, Ava, Alicia, Parisa, Julianne, all of the Women's Journal ladies, Debbie and Nicole and Lisa Tan, everybody who was there to celebrate Jane Goodall and to celebrate the Day of Peace.
Excellent.
Absolutely. Well, actually, I wanted to give a special thank you to Lisa Tan, because our connection with Jane Goodall's Roots and Shoots came through Lisa Tan's pursuit of just wanting to really be a part of it. So to the rest of our audience, if you have organizations or activities, events that you are supporting, you are doing, that you'd like to pursue, it could turn out to be like this day, the International Day of Peace, because of one Lisa Tan who pursued it. So Dr. Lisa Tan, thank you. And with that, Misty, we'd like to go back to you.
I was really blown away by her. She was realistic, but not mean. She talked about the specific things going on in the world, like how there is lots of hate and there is danger, but it didn't come from a place. It still came from a place of love. And I was kind of blown away by her being able to, even her assertiveness and can you hear me in the back, the meaning she put into every minute of that, ensuring that it was heard. And my takeaway from it was, don't overcomplicate it. And that one part where she said, grab a group of friends and just start. So I think that was very such profound words from her, who's 90, who travels, what did they say, 300 days a year,
right,
continue to make a difference is just start.
That's so powerful. If you think about it, that makes life simple. Grab a group of friends and start in anything. Like imagine David Jones's movement. If each one of the one that hears David grabs a group of friends and start, it spreads like wildfire, right? And what an easy way to just get yourself stuck from making things complicated. So beautiful. We are so grateful for the opportunity to really bring to you this Day of Peace with Jane Goodall's Roots and Shoots. And David Jones, thank you for joining us. We promise we are going to have you back in LA Tribune.
Thank you.
And with this, I think we are ready to wrap this up with a word from our CEO. We'd love to bring you our CEO's TEDx talk. Before we close, in a few words or more, because sometimes you can't fit it in a few words, I'd love to hear from our co-host right here, something that you could say about our upcoming speech by Mo Rock. What are your thoughts when it comes to like Mo Rock, his vision in the Los Angeles Tribune? Start with you, Misty.
And we talked about it a few times, but really, and I think Karen, I think you said it, I always forget the word, but not just going with the grain, but being that one news organization that is committed to good news and happy news and celebrating people and making the change, not from a place of hate, but from a place of hope, from a place of hope. So as we get ready for this TED Talk, one of the things I loved about it was it puts integrity back into the media. And I can go on all day about where it's not, but I love that just start. And I think that Mo did that. Mo did that with the Los Angeles Tribune. He just started to put integrity back into the news.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Right. Karen, thank you for that, Misty.
Yes, Misty, I so agree. And Mo is such a maverick.
Karen, you're muted somehow.
Oh, I'm muted. Can you hear me now? Yes, I was thinking about how Mo is such a maverick in the way that he has the vision to redefine the status quo, and the way that he also is changing the ratio of positive to negative media, where the ratio now is about 17-1, but since Mo has started, it's probably already shifted. And so I appreciate that so much, because we need more positivity in the world, and we do need to have integrity in the media. And so Mo is making that possible, and just bringing these kinds of events is so unique. And so I'm really grateful for Mo and his vision, and for everyone at the Los Angeles Tribune who helps to make that vision possible.
I just want to say one thing about Mo.
Now say that a little louder, David Jones.
I'm 70 plus years old. I've met a lot of people. First time I met Mo Rock, the man read me like a book. I mean, he kind of saw through me. He saw what I was all about. And when he spoke, his words just came out. He's not just a visionary. This guy, he's got it. He's got the integrity thing mixed into visionary, and he comes out. He's a big thing in my book. So, I'm lost for words. It's like I was when the first time I met the guy.
I remember that moment, David Jones. I remember that moment. You came out of that. He just grabbed you. He talked about your book. He talked about you on camera. And David came out of that speechless, shaking. He's sweating.
And I'm like, oh my God. Said that, I don't know what else I can say. He's a good guy, and he's integrity driven. I love the man. And the Los Angeles Tribune, that's his play box. That's his thing. That's where he's all these visions come true.
Yes.
Absolutely. And with that, we'd like to conclude the International Day of Peace. Imagine where we would be next year when we celebrate International Day of Peace. At the Los Angeles Tribune, I can tell you that's going to be like way out there, because of the vision, the passion, and the people behind the Los Angeles Tribune, especially our visionary, Mo Rock.
Thank you.
Imagine waking up in the morning, grabbing your morning coffee, and opening up your daily newspaper to nothing but headlines that inspire and uplift you. Headlines like the Apollo 11 moon landing and how it inspired people in the 60s, or headlines like the Berlin Wall has collapsed, or even more recently, headlines like the miracle on the Hudson. What would that do to your day when you started off with just positive news? My name is Mo Rock. I'm the CEO of a national newspaper brand, and today, together, we are reimagining journalism. You see, studies reveal that there is a stark contrast between positive news and negative news. In fact, for every piece of news that is solutions-based, that can uplift and inspire you, there are at least 17 that don't. That's 17 to 1. So today, we are actually faced with an epidemic of negative news. We've all heard the phrase, if it bleeds, it leads. But why does this have to be the centerpiece of a lot of news production, journalism, and content creation of the world today? There are a lot of incredible journalists that are solutions orientated, and I give a lot of credit to them for doing a great job. And here's the truth that you may not realize, is that everyone in this room is impacting our news. You see, every single time you like a post, every single time you leave a comment on a news article, and every single time you share something, you're not just liking, commenting, and resharing. You're actually casting a vote. You're not only casting a vote for the kind of news you want to consume, but believe it or not, you're casting a vote for the kind of world you want to live in. You see, I believe that news has the power to not just inform you, but it has the power to mold you. Our world views are largely shaped based on the news and content that we consume. And so I want to encourage folks to remember that the next time that they like, comment, and share. Our organization has one question that it always has to ask before we share anything, print anything, or publish anything. Our editorial team asks this one very simple question. Does the following piece of news empower our audience, or does it disempower our audience? What would the world look like if every content creator, every journalist, every time someone posted a news article, they asked that question? Does the following piece of content empower our audience or disempower our audience? And I want to encourage everyone to participate in this process and help us bridge that gap between 17 negative news articles for every one positive. And let's come together and ultimately make this world a better place. Thank you.